six, the last of the six is comprehension. Ang comprehension, daghan pa yun siya sanga-sanga. Okay? Sige. Bridging, how do we teach? Bridging the gap through the use of the mother tongue as the language of instruction from K through 3 is one of the most salient features of the K to 3 curriculum as a response to UNESCO's call for education for all. Kasi naka-check. Okay, no? So it's, mother tongue belongs to MTB, MLE. What is MTB, MLE? Yeah, yes ma'am. Can you say it alone?
Mother tongue-based multilingual education.
Mother tongue-based multilingual education. It is believed that when a teacher teaches the child using a mother tongue, that will bridge the gap between the child to mastering the language from other child, that is language 1 to Filipino, language 2 to English, language 2. And is it true? Is it working in our schools? In your school, ma'am? Okay, kayo. No, I am reminded of my classmate who posted on Facebook. Ang akong anak, nangutana, ang saan nang palaksan pa? Because the child used to learn bowl at home. Pag-abot sa eskwelahan, isa ka palaksan, lugangan yung isa ka palaksan. Mas ka palaksan pa. Okay. The teacher should be equipped with a lot of strategies to battle all these in the classrooms. Glad? Okay, we have here the MTB-NME program aims to develop appropriate cognitive and reasoning skills to enable children to hone their higher cognitive skills of critical thinking and reasoning in different languages, starting with the mother tongue. More generally, the MTB-MLE program aims to promote citizenship by connecting the Filipino student to his or her unique heritage, the country, and the world. Thus, the 3 languages, mother tongue, Filipino, and English, are used as languages of instruction. So, ang K-3 is mother tongue. No? Tama ba, Sir Bernie? Ang science, mother tongue. Only science. Ang math, mother tongue. Wala na
Science sa grade 3.
isa ka palaksan, lugangan, o isa ka palaksan, wala siya. Okay. Unsa pa, ang PE, ay PE. All subjects in K-3. Except English and Filipino. So, ma-bridge na yun. Kailangan may mother tongue, na yung Filipino, na yung English. Idibuho. Okay, kuha na din na siya. Original na pina na mga kung ano siya. Pero ma'am, kung sige yun mo na balik-balik, idibuho. Bridging. Well, this is another strategy. Bridging is a strategy for facilitating this transition from the home language to the second language. Bridging happens when the teacher calls the student's attention to similarities and differences across languages in order to facilitate language transfer. Because different languages have similarities, children can transfer what they have learned from one language to the other. And then, there are 2 main goals as literacy teachers are to develop children who can read and write. And that is not just enough. Kung atong children can read and write, they should be developed there should be the will of the children to read and write. such as children who choose to read and write because it is fun and meaningful, and will pursue their love for reading and writing throughout their lifetime. Every time I give lecture to school heads, I would always challenge them by telling them, tell your classroom teachers to put up a classroom like a Jollibee. Why? Di ba, mga bata, attracted kayo sa Jollibee? No? Makita sila picture ni Jollibee, mo shopping tayo, chubby, no? And once they are inside, they don't want to go out of the room. So, kung nga na ang perspective sa bata,
Ang bata.
I think we can also do that in our classrooms. What is in Jollibee? Now, ganahan mo yun ang mga bata. Kasi tagline sa Jollibee, yes, Sir Rexon. Yes, langhap sarap.
Drive-thru naman ako makita, ma'am. Drive-thru.
Langhap sarap. At saka, bida ang saya. Oh, should make learning fun. Okay. A balanced approach to literacy instruction is needed in order to develop in our students the skill and the will to read and write. So, di lang enough na they know how to read and write, but there should be the skill and the will. When they will be on their own, they will read on their own. This is an approach that integrates the teaching of literacy skills and development of a love for literacy activities. We would really appreciate schools, even during the pandemic, kung inyong mga bata, mga doon sa school kayo magbasa. No? All schools during the pandemic are half closed and half open. Let's say half open, not open to all, but we cater to some for reading purpose. We would really appreciate those school heads telling us, Ma'am, ang mga bata, ma'am, kayo, mga tugid sa eskwelahan kayo magbasa. Ay, congratulations for that because you have established the love for reading among our children. No, they have corners in their classroom, reading corner, library corner, tapos na mga bukag, mga baskets containing those reading materials. And may I suggest to all of you, when you have a reading corner in your classrooms, please make the reading materials grouped according to Big 6. Aron functional ang atong reading corner. Kung magtapok na ng atong reading materials nila, there is no use. Confusing sa mga bata, no? Whereas kung naka-group siya according to oral language, according to phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, the teacher can easily assist the child. For example, the child is struggling reader. Di ba siya pwedeng comprehension? So that the teacher can pick that particular reading material and offer the child. Although di siya maingon nga, struggling reader man ka, kini ang basahan. But he knows nga, kini nga bata, struggling reader. This is the right material for this particular kid. I know you have a lot of reading materials as displayed in Prosperidad Municipal. It's really amazing. An amazing display of your creativity, of your milestone in reading. Makakuan ka, murag, nalibaw akong balita ito nga tanaw ko sa inyong display. Ang pangtana ka, gamit ba ito? No? Now, I would suggest, categorize your reading materials by Big 6. No? Big 6 yun siya. Aron ang teacher, dali na siya maka-pick. Pero kung nagtapos na siya diha, wala kayong purpose sa atong reading corner or library corner. Ipanghambog ba ninyo nga, Ma'am, this is our library corner. As trained in reading, kabalo na yung takong kani nga school head, kaya manig Big 6. No? Kani nga school head, familiar ba ni sa Big 6 or familiar ba ni sa ELML principle? Okay? Sige. Next is, nana si Dad. Ang high school, Yapon, but you should have this. So this
Developmentally appropriate.
is another strategy, no? Developmentally appropriate practice is related to Big 6. No, this only refers to material development, di ba? Your materials nga display nyo sa reading corner are all that because you develop materials according to grade level, according to age level, according to interest, at saka ma'am, according to abilities, that is that. So that's why, do that in your reading corners. Ipakita nga, train mo sa MLN. Pakita nga, kabalo mo sa basics. Pakita nga, kabalo mo sa DAP. No? So that's it. Kaya, murag ginawa mo tanan na train na, pero we cannot see it. Saan kita makaingon ko, kadaghan na sa resource packages na gihatag sa field. Ano? Daghan namang gihapong non-readers. Daghan namang gihapong struggling readers. Or what is this? Is this just a table report? Na pagkuha na to sa post-test, minimal na kayo ang non-readers, minimal na ang struggling. Pagbalik sa pre-test, sky is the limit. Ang kadaghan, no? So, this is challenge to all of us and show to us that we are applying what we have been trained. Okay, so next is the 3 types of knowledge that can help teachers make decisions that will result in doubt. First is knowledge about child development and learning. Knowing what is typical at each age and stage of development. For example, among school, Sir Marlo is an IP school. Kasi may IP school din. Oh.
I am IB learner.
Pero you're not an IP school. Kung IP school ka, what should you do? Number 2, knowledge of the individual child. It's knowing about the child's interests, abilities, and developmental progress based on continued observation. So na po kay facts, no? Knowledge of the child's background and culture, knowledge of the values, expectations, and factors that shape a child's life at home and in the community. Next is, okay, we'll be talking about standards. So, ganito sila. Program standards, key stage or grade standards, content standards. Program standards are knowledge and skills the learners are expected to achieve at the end of junior high school or elementary, secondary. We call that program standards. Unsa may program standards for K to 3? Unsa may program standards for 4 to 6? For 7 to 10? Okay? Key stage standards, these are the sets of skills and knowledge a learner aims to develop at a certain age in their education. For example, grade 3 siya. Unsa man ang iyahang key stage standards? Na dapat makabasa siya up to unsa man. No? Muna ang aim sa brigada pagbasa, making all learners functionally literate. Na kung grade 2 ka, imong level of reading should be grade 2. Content standards describe the knowledge and skills the students should attain. This is what we call the what. What are those that are to be learned? And the next standard is the performance standard. The how. You're given already the what. No? The content. Now, the how. This is now the performance task. Diba? Our teachers are giving performance tasks. That's already measuring the content standards through the how. Kumusta ang performance standards na ginahatag sa itong teachers sa mga learners? Are they coping? Are our learners coping? Na-obserbahan ka lang sa Facebook? No, makatawa ta usahay ba kay ang card 75. Pag fourth grading 95. Aron na yung average 80. Alam mo. Tapos na kayo yung emoji nga ibutangan ayaw saba pero i-post na sa Facebook. No? Joy, ang saan ka ni Joy, no? Very challenge. Yung karong mayon si Sarah nga, si Sarah naman atong Deputy Secretary. May si Sarah nga, do enhancement during the summer. Each teacher will be given 5,000. Diyan na! Sabihin ko, wala ko. This is what we call true service. No, kung tinanungan kita nga nagbuan, kung 75 ang grado sa bata, pag-compute na to, may dito. Kung saan nagit ang bata, that's why may challenge sa dito, pero pasang awa siya. So karon ma-measure na yung dato. Makatawa ko ba nga kanang there is really a sense, no? Sir Balulod, kumusta ka diha?
Okay naman.
Kumusta yung mga teachers?
Kira ko.
Kira, wala na yung to. 75, 95, 95, average, 80.
No change.
Mga tama ta karon. The verdict will matakabalo, no? Okay. Sige. Sige na glad. Okay. Learning competencies. Refer to knowledge, understanding, skills, and attitudes that students need to demonstrate in every lesson or learning activity. Why should we unpack standards? Are you familiar with unpacking? Why do we unpack?
Be able to achieve that.
Yes, so Gina, why do we have to unpack?
We should we should need to unpack the objective so that kanang ma-achieve siya ma'am ang imuhang time na allotted nga kanang nga skill lang ang ma-achieve.
Okay, thank you for that, Gina. I believe this was discussed po during the MDL, no? Isa man sa mga topics sa mga teachers unpacking. And this is also the discussion, no? One of the biggest discussion in the primals, no? The teachers were taught how to do unpacking. Sige, why do we have to unpack? Because the competencies are broad. The competencies are big. So because they are broad, we have to make them simplify. Simplify the competencies. What are the steps? Okay, identify the concept. Identify the content. Create student-friendly learning competency, meaning achievable na ang competency. And then identify the evidence. Kita Ma'am Glad. Next. Okay. When you do unpacking, you always refer to the Bloom's taxonomy of objectives. So how many levels? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have the first level, remembering. No, that's the lowest level. The student can recognize and recall relevant knowledge from long-term memory. What are the objectives that may be used? Define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, reproduce. So, kaya yun, kay literal man. The second level is understanding. The student can construct meaning from oral, written, and graphic messages. What are some objectives that can be used? Interpret, exemplify, classify, summarize, infer, compare, explain, paraphrase, discuss. For applying, that's already the third level. The student can use information in a new way. The objectives are demonstrate, dramatize, interpret, solve, use, illustrate, convert, discover, discuss, and prepare. Next level, the fourth, the student can distinguish between parts, how they relate to each other, and to the overall structure and purpose. So there's some objectives: compare, contrast, criticize, differentiate, discriminate, question, classify, distinguish, and experiment. Level 5, that is evaluating. The student can make judgments and justify decisions. But there are some objectives that you can use: appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, evaluate, debate, measure, select, test, verify. The last level, the highest level, creating. The student can put elements together to form a functional whole, create a new product or point of view. What are some objectives? Assemble, generate, construct, design, develop, formulate, rearrange, rewrite, organize, devise. These are our guides also in the art of questioning. When a teacher throws very good questions, the learners will be critical thinkers and problem solvers. If the teacher asks only in this lowest level, we cannot expect for a learner who thinks critically. No? So, I wish inyo na kopyahon para ihatag ninyo sa inyong mga teachers na teacher ma'am, ingani na mga questions atong i-ask atong mga learners. Pwede po dato po nang i-master. Aron kung mag-lock session po ta, we can also throw good questions to our teachers. No? Sige. Why are we presenting them to you? Because you, the teachers will be using this, or you, as providers of technical assistance, can guide our teachers as they do the unpacking. No? Okay. How do you unpack? The first one is you use the KUD. Kasi naka-check. KUD. KUD is knowledge, understanding, and doing. No? So, atong i-kuan later, no? Then, after na kay competency, because we said that competencies are broad, so we have now to identify the competency. Go back to Bloom's taxonomy. Balik ka dito kay Bloom's. Tapos, for English or language lesson, ay different nga taxonomy, Barrett's taxonomy. Then formulate the objectives, then what are these objectives? Sige daw glad. Ay sample din eh. For no, that is remembering level, kana siya nga mga objectives ang ipagamit. No? For example, the objective is design, that is very broad. So, i-unpack pa na mo siya. No? You start with no. You start with identify the parts of mga anak. Dili ka mo diretso og design mo. Dili. As a school head, you will know that the weekly home learning plan, the objectives there are being unpacked kung nagamit pa ang teacher before itong last na mo na ang competency. No? The second level is understanding. Mo po ito nga mga objectives. Third level, ang applying is still understanding. Mao po ito nga objective. Kadali lang balik sa dito level. Ang fourth level is still letter U, understand, with analyzing. So, ang understand na siya tulo. Balik na ito, Brother Glenn. Unsay na sa understand, isip pa din. Diba? Before pa. Before. Ang the first one is know. That is remembering. That's next. The second is understand. Understanding, then applying, and analyzing. The next is understand, hapon, evaluating. And then the last is do, that is creating. So kung maka-create ng bata, maka-create na siya story, maka-create na siya paragraph, na siya science level. But before he can reach that competency, may start si teacher from the lowest level. No? Oh, so, okay. So that's it. Dali lang yun kung guided ang teacher, tapos every time ang teacher maghimo sa iyang kuan, naka-unpack na siya, kay guided man siya what to do. Na ay objective, no? Nya unsa siya nga level. So dapat, ang kada lesson ni teacher, kayo di siya. Na ay knowledge, na ay understanding, o na ay doing or creating. It could be in a 1-week lesson or a 3-day lesson, maka-create na si learner. Okay? Okay, so for our instructional pedagogies, we have here the first one, CLT. We're giving you principle in teaching, CLT. It should be communicative language teaching. And there are 4 components of a CLT: linguistic or grammatical competence, discourse competence, yan ako na-explain, and social linguistic competence and strategic competence. Isa'y naka-check dito. Si teacher, ito, si teacher going to her class, and then she stopped, it was here.
Sociolinguistic.
Why? So, kini siya nga input. Dili na rin para sa English. This is for all. This is showing how competent we are communicatively. Social-linguistic competence refers to your application of your learning in a social context. So, nakamit ka sa pari, tapos stop ka for a while and show respect. For example, good afternoon, Father. Okay. That is social-linguistic competence. Ilang kayo, labyan lang mo si pari, no? Yeah. Siguro kung makakaila, okay na. But if you learn na pari day siya, you should pay respect. Di ba? Kung ang atong pag-treat ba kang madam or sir SPS, pareha ba atong treatment sa atong bana or our partners in life? No. Lahi. So that is socio-linguistic competence. How about kung ang teacher wrote a letter to the superintendent and then asking for request for transfer, but the superintendent did not grant because the letter was offensive. What competence is that? Naka-experience ko ipatawag ko sa office sa previous SDS. Ikaras-karasan yun ang letter. Okay, ingnan ko. Nga na wala na yung monitor ng mga teacher. Ako alay ng kuan. No? Ano wala na yung magtudlo So kami magtudlo sa mga teacher. Unsa ito nga competence? Yes, discourse competence. Magsulat mag-letter, no? So dapat kabalo ka. Unsay tenor sa imong letter. Request maka-transfer. So kabalo ka sa pag-request, no? So that is, saka competence? Discourse competence. Grammatical competence, wala na siya, very basic. So kabalo ka sa tuglan. Mastery of sentence, the ability to recognize phonics, sound, morphology, origin of words, semantics, meaning, syntax, sentence. No, atong mga nagma-ELT dili ay kinaon no? The masters in English language teaching. Pero that is applicable to all of us, no? The next, katong a kid who cannot answer the teacher's question may fight or flight because he has no weapon enough to defend himself. What competence? Strategic competence. No? Hindi mako-answer sa question ni ma'am. Wala ka. Or mo fight. No? Correct? Inyong answers? Or another non-verbal communication strategies. Yes, correct ma'am. Facial expression. Nodding or thumbs up or thumbs up. These are non-verbal communication strategies. So, diba na itong upat ha? You also give that as a session for your teachers. No, especially the younger generation na. Or even the applicant.
Ikaw
Alam sa kadaan daw, ikaw sa folder. Sige, pangutan. Sige. Sinabi na, sige pangutan na. Yun sa pag-compute. Sila na lang siguro compute sa sunod. Kuan ka ng we need value formation among the young generation. No? Kaya kita sa una pag-apply na to, wala na. Kung sa imong kuan na kay nisalig ta sa system, nisalig ta sa atong kuan, sa atong division office. Okay, you wait. Kung i-hire ka, very good. Kung dili, apply again. Karon, kabaligtaran. Sige, okay. Now, it is advised by our Department of Education, our learners from different subject areas should be exposed to the different literacy texts such as expository texts, argumentative texts, instructional texts, and narrative texts. Ang mga samples, nakadagdagan na siya samples. Kay, sa pagkakaroon di ay, ang mga learners, wala na tayong control kung unsa ilang ginabasa. Unsa tayo ilang ginabasa karon? Wattpads. Unsa na sa Wattpads? Familiar mo? Wattpads. All kinds of stories, no? Story of love, story of sex, story of violence, no more. Wala na kita'y control. Yan na sa Wattpad. Aside sa Wattpad, napaligaw nila nga manga. Abi ko mag-fruit lang yung manga. M-A-N-G-A. It's a Japanese story. O kanang mga kuan man. Again, yes, no, Naruto. Wala na kita'y control. Again, stories of love, sex, violence. Although naman po daw heroism, pero kanang challenge din sa ato na mapabalik na to itong mga learners mubasa ani kay ang dapat nila basahon. Expository text, argumentative text, instructional and narrative. Are they reading biographies of our presidents and former presidents? Wala na. These are examples of narratives, biographies and autobiographies. Instructional, are we reading kuan kaning manual sa cellphone? Diba, tinatabasa mo, agree na na diretso. Oh, kana. They should be reading the description of the cellphone they're buying, the instruction found in the manual. No? Argumentative, are you reading newspapers? No more. No? Diba, Joy, ingon sila Joy nga, when a person daw is reading the editorial part of a newspaper, this person is intelligent. But I don't agree, no? Kay it depends man to our interest. Kung unsa daw una nimong basahon sa newspaper, it tells your personality. So kung editorial page, bright yung daw ning tawanan ni, no? Pero sa kanila basa nato usually entertainment. But because we want to entertain ourselves. No, normal na siya. Mubasa magyapon tag editorials. Where do you find editorials? Newspapers, no?
Yes.
But na may editorials online. Naaman, okay. Oh, na. So, let your teachers read. Aron may mo silang models sa mga learners. And then expository, mga science articles, no? So, kanang dako atong challenge nga ibalik nato atong mga learners na mangbasa ani dili lang katong Wattpads and manga, no? Okay. Strategies in developing disciplinary literacy in all subject areas. First is instructional scaffolding. Kung ang bata, naglisod yun siya anak ng material, there's a need for that bata to be guided. No? Hangtod the learner will be able to arrive at his or her own reading level in that particular grade. We call that instructional scaffolding. I-scaffold ang kanabang i-assist na po ang bata. Ang so itawag sa K-12, kanang hinahinay, yung tawag, progression. Spiral progression. Okay. We have another one, the grief. This is for gradual release of responsibility of instructional framework. The teacher will give activity for the student to do. I do it. Then, guided instruction, both the teacher and the learner will do it. With activities for all the learners, they do it together until the learner can do it by his or her own. We call it grief. Ano sa itong grief? Gradual release of responsibility of instructional framework. Then number 3, close reading. It is a thoughtful, critical analysis of the text that focuses on significant details of patterns in order to develop a deep, precise understanding of a text form, craft, meaning, and etc. A close reader is like a text detective. Before the teacher gives the material, for example, give me a material for science teachers. For example, the material na imong ipabasa is, the photosynthesis. Dapat nakaready na ang material. No? Di kay magsuwat pa mo sa board, magsuwat pa ang teacher ang board, tapos ipakopya pa sa bata. Wala na naron. Na? Dapat nakaready na si teacher sa material, tapos hatag niya tanan itong material, before niya ipabasa, before the close reading, the learners will be asked to ask questions about that material. Probably, the learners would say, what is photosynthesis? Then the teacher will write it on the board. Or, kung nagamit siya o kanang projector, iyang pang-insert ko lang. Next, how does photosynthesis work? Or, what is the purpose of photosynthesis? Mura ba siya kung sa kitang ganang, ma'am? Mga motive questions or motivation questions. So after that, the learners can read on their own. This is very important for math and science subjects. Okay, daghang terms niya, no? So pwede niya gamiton ang close reading. Even for araling panlipunan. Then number 4, we are very aware of this, collaborative learning. It's important to provide opportunities for literacy. Pwede siya pang whole class, pwede po siya pang pair, pwede po siya pang small group discussion. Then, we have the TDQ. What is TDQ? It is text-dependent question. Meaning na yung material ni gunitan ng bata. No? After reading, questions, comprehension questions. Questions na ang answer, mabasa yun ang bata, ito mabalik sa text. For example, what is the evidence that the girl is pregnant? Okay. Sige. According to the text, pwede ang bata mo anak. No? Or, sa pakayang gamiton. The girl is pregnant because, she has a big tummy. That's critical thinking. No? Next, what do you think about photosynthesis? So what could be the answer? I think, or it could be, in the text, it says that. So nindot yun siya nga material for your teachers to do to the learners. And after that, probably the students or the learners can do it on their own. Sila po na question for them to master the art of questioning. Okay, we have teacher modeling, for science and for sa kanina mga subjects, kailangan i-model ni teacher. For TLE, for sports, there is a need for teachers to model. Then, number 7, explicit vocabulary teaching strategies. The more words that the learner will master, the more that they will be able to speak the language and learn the language. We are encouraging your teachers through your leadership to do this in their classrooms. Tiered vocabulary. Maski na lang monthly na tiered vocabulary. That means you do a structure in your classroom with 3 tiers for vocabulary. Tier 1, these are basic words that are commonly used in spoken language. For example, run, see, book, school. Itong mga most basic words ang Tier 1, the simplest. Tier 2, these are high-frequency words used by language users across content areas because they're not used in spoken language. Example, cite, formulate, evaluate. Higher na siya, no? Then tier 3, these are words that aren't frequently used except in specific content areas. For example, respiration, asa man na siya subject. Pi, amendment, araling panlipunan, and protagonist, English, no, or araling panlipunan. So, wonderful if the teacher can post that in his or her classroom even once a month lang, no? So, dili na to makita dayon ang effect ana sa tong learners. Makita na siya long term. Yung ang bata diyan has already labi na ipakopya sa ilang notebook or picture naman na nilang no, sa cellphone and do an activity related to that. So I believe I am done and ano ako na okay. So thank you very much. Post-test pa ta? Or mag-answer na lang ta? Mag-check? Mag-post-test ta? The same man.
Oo.
Okay na?
Post ka lang.
Sige.
Check.
Sige, mag-post test ta. Ano mo taas inyong score? Sige, 5 minutes. Let's see. Okay, close notes. Close notes. This is helping yourself.
Sa pag-magpiyong.
Kaya kung mag-open notes mo, you're not helping yourselves.
Apa ada?
Then, chicken na na to.
Walang tihadlok. Sigdamay lang ito score.
Ah, kamay na budaan. Kasi hindi ko magamagan. Kasi juga ada isa, ada rating.
Please do not write anything.
Tagan di ma'am.
Mana?
Question?
Questionnaire. Eh. Ano taguin ninyo?
Kuan. Okay na kita mong answer.
Ala, Sara diri sa
Kita nang doang na
Sige.
Di may ka post.
Ay, alam na.
Pagopya na lang ko da sa Emirates. Wala ko sa number 1 na.
Ay, ito din.
Saan ka dito?
Sa...
TV na mo. TV din mo.
Yata siyang tanaw. Oh.
TV na. Muito parou.
Jesus made the fight of life. You should be aware that things like issue competence born. Linguistic. Get this for Strategy,
Number 9.
which modern way, and scaffolding, no?
Continuous number.
No. Should be
Number 9.
to use all learners in all learning areas.
Fill in the format.
Ito po. Magkano yung mga paspas?
Wala na. Fill in the format. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
unpack. Oh,
Sige, exchange. Ay, ipasa ang kuan. Sige, ay na, lagyan lang sa itong pasamo na yun. Exchange with your, saan, seatmate? Sige, with your, sige, ready. Ready, number 1. What's your answer? Mr. Kamay is designated to the 500 with the presence of struggling readers in K2-3 in school. What resource package is appropriate to be given to the teachers? Letter B, ELLN. Isa yung naka-check? Wow, very good. Sige. So, hiwala po ninyo ni nga kanang, we want you to embrace in your heart na kanang masabtan po nato, no? Na, kay trabaho naman po ni nato. We are technical assistance providers. So, please, embrace. Hindi lang kayo para ma-perfect na din. There are 3 newly hired teachers in Cavite. As they write the weekly home learning plan, the teachers should be trained on letter D, unpacking of learning competencies. Number 3, a teacher in how many domains? Letter C, 14. Number 4, what's the answer? Teaching Cebuano Bisaya is and DBML letter A. Next situation, Miss Lopez is a grade 10 teacher. The answer, what particular strategy best fits? Letter B, CLT. Number 2, Teacher Camille was on her way. She met a priest. What particular letter C, socio-linguistic competence. Number 3, a student who cannot answer the teacher's question, that the teacher should be aware that is a communicative competence called strategic competence, letter D. Number 4, reading. Okay, what should be the answer? Struggling readers. Agree? Close reading is actually, what's the answer? Letter C. Instructional scaffolding. No, scaffold. Kanina, number 5. What resource packages have been drafted? A, B, C, D. D. We have ELLN, ELLN, primals, and primals plus. Nasa field. Ang inyo lang, kulang lang po pag-ukap. Unpacking the learning competency should follow the KUD process. SKUDB, letter C. Know, understand, and do. Okay, sige. Pakipasa ko sa kaning material, test paper. Bali po, ipasa na.
strategic to the moment.
Pasa na. Ako previous. Ako lang i-check ko sa uman. Para nakagalit pa.
Ako kaya tama pa. Kaya ang ating naman to.
Sige. Ugat 10. 10. Sabihin. Kanang 10, 9, 8. Anata. 10. Di na nagpapasa ng pangalan sa han? Pwede na kayo mga limit na lisyano. Sige. 10. Filipina. Kitoy. Janet. Nada. Selsa. Kandari. Mix. Sir, kanang pangalan na tinuod. Kaya ako nag-record. Pamedi. Vistan. Nakusawa man ipag-record kung Ito na yung mga pangalan. 10, 9. 9. 10, Sir Rick. So, 9. Anchamko.
Dapat ay price list.
Sir Bernie. Sumamko. Tabod. Sir Damasco. Ma'am Liliana.
Muna yung mampasaray.
Gina. Ma'am Gordita. Sir Amos. And
Dapat ay price list.
Magalona, Liabuna, Zalan, and Kapasaoy, Ma'am Karen. Pass all the rest of the papers. Congratulations to all of you. How do you find the session? Interesting or challenging? You should be challenged because this is our work as technical assistance providers. No? So please